Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Medical Board of California Application Review and Special Programs Committee meeting. Pursuant to the provisions of Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N29-20, dated March 17, 2020, this meeting is being conducted via WebEx. Public comments will be heard for each applicable agenda item for individuals wishing to do so. In order to be ready for public comment, we ask that you please ensure that your comments can be heard clearly by connecting to the audio of this meeting through the proper method. If you are having difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting, it could be because the device you're connecting with has bandwidth limitations. If you do have difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting using your device, please click the ellipsis button at the bottom of the WebEx application or the Communicate menu item at the top of the WebEx application, and then select Audio Connection. You will see an option to call in and will be provided with a telephone number, access code, and attendee ID that can be used to connect to the meeting via phone. Using the information provided, it will automatically disconnect your device's audio and connect your phone to the name you've joined the meeting with. By using this method, if you are having audio problems with your device, this will allow you to still participate and hear the audio of the board meeting through your phone. Please see the instructions on how to connect link on the last page of the meeting agenda for step-by-step WebEx instructions, including screenshots. Thank you, Ms. Lawson. You can now start the meeting.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon. I am Christina Lawson, the chair of the Application Review and Special Programs Committee. I would like to welcome you to the committee's meeting today being held through WebEx. As this is a WebEx meeting, I will ask that everyone please state their name for the record whenever you speak. And as a reminder, we will need to do roll call votes for all votes taken. I will now call this meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. Members, please indicate if you are present on the line when your name is called. Ms. Demian, please call the roll.
Thank you. Dr. Hawkins?
Here.
Dr. Yip?
Here.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes, here. Thank you. We have a quorum. The next agenda item is agenda item 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. The committee may not discuss or take action on any matter raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. Are there any public comments?
I've gone ahead and enabled the Q&A window. You can indicate just by typing yes in there that you'd like to make a public comment, or you can also use the raise hand functionality in WebEx, and we'll call on you in the order that you received. First up here, we have Sandra Perez. Sandra, are you there?
I am. Good afternoon.
Great. And if I could just have you pause for one moment, I just wanted to remind the speakers before you all get started to please not discuss any pending license applications, pending complaints, or pending disciplinary actions that may come before this committee or the broader board for a decision. And then please additionally keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. We can now go to public comment, Sean.
Thank you, Ms. Lawson. My name is Sandy Perez, and I'm calling from Hesperia, California, in County of San Bernardino. I'm calling because I've already spoken with this board multiple times regarding PGI-1 residents, year 1, which you guys have defined to me as medical students of having no license to practice medicine. And then you changed your story to identify that these individuals can practice under approved programs. I have issued complaints to this board that have gone dismissed because I have evidence that unlicensed medical students, or PGY1s as you would refer to them, have been practicing medicine without any oversight within their approved programs, which is in violation of ACGME. I'm also disappointed that this board has opted to redact critical information that the public should be made aware of regarding resident physician license applications, including disciplinary action and/or leaves of absence. Specifically, information is redacted, and even though it shows information that there was a leave of absence, suspension, probation, or other disciplinary action taken during the residency program, the public should be made aware of any disciplinary or administrative action or leave of absence from a residency program that a resident physician has incurred, as this could be important to patient safety. I'm asking the board to prevent further trauma to us victims of medical negligence and provide unredacted versions that do not provide critical or individual personal private information, such as forms L3A, L1C, L1D, and L1E, so that way we have information regarding any disciplinary action taken during residency. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up, we have Ann Fuqua. Ann, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead.
My name is Ann Fuqua. As I mentioned in a previous meeting, I'm a chronic pain patient who has been stable on an opioid dose for over a decade that far exceeds the CDC's 90 MME threshold. I get regular blood work and have no signs of endocrinopathy, and none of the sleep studies I've had have ever suggested I had sleep apnea. I have no other side effects. My overall health now at 40 is far better than what I experienced in my mid-20s when my body was overwhelmed with the effects of uncontrolled pain. I desperately want to keep the quality of life I have now. I feel that we are at a crossroads as far as the care of intractable pain patients is concerned. There have been a number of recent studies that point to the harms associated with involuntary tapering. I will email these to the board. I applaud MDC for the statement on the website advising physicians not to drop their patients. This is so important. Physicians need to feel confident that they can treat patients with opioids when other measures fail if they document carefully, monitor their patient, and utilize appropriate risk mitigation strategies. Beyond this, California needs its most experienced prescribers to mentor other physicians and take on high dose patients like myself. This is exactly what the Intractable Pain Act calls for, but sadly, this most innovative legislation is not being fully utilized. And because of that, patients are suffering. I will be attending the FDA's meeting, morphine milligram equivalents, applications, research, and future directions next week. I hope that the board will carefully examine the information that is presented at this meeting. California has led our nation on so many public health issues, and I know that California can do the same for opioid refugees with the guidance of the medical board. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up, we have Colin Ross. Colin, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm speaking to the board. I've spoken to the board before about this Mexico physician pilot program. Many of our letters from the group of us were ignored, not responded to. So I'm just basically letting the board know who we are. We are about 135 bilingual Latino, not Hispanic doctors, who many of us 20 years ago, when there was an anti-IMG, FMG environment in the United States, we were not offered a residency slot in internal medicine, family medicine, or OBGYN. So a lot of us had to retrain in an allied health field to continue our practice of medicine. Taking the USMLE STEP exams as a requirement to practice medicine in the United States was not waived for us, like this requirement was waived for the 21 participants that you currently have in the pilot program, the pilot Mexico program. It seems like on the application, it's just a matter of like checking boxes, which everyone in our group can do. Me personally, I was actually accepted to an MD PhD program here at a medical school in the United States. I completed 5 years of that program when my American father divorced my South American mother. And so I left my program to take on a job to economically help support my mother and 5 siblings, only to return to medical school and be dismissed in good and regular standing from my MD PhD program because our medical dean didn't understand why such a student with pristine grades would leave medical school and take on a job. And my US-based academic transcripts could definitely show that I'm more than competent to continue working in the role as a full licensed MD. But anyway, for 10 years, our group, the IMG FMG group we're talking about, took care of low-income migrant Spanish-speaking workers in the Borrego Springs, Thermal, Julian, and Coachella areas. That's who we are. We're actually Latino, Spanish-speaking, born and raised, Black, Indigenous Indians, and Mestizo doctors, not Hispanics, who claim their blood to be from European descendancy. That's basically the difference between a Latino and Hispanic. If you did not live in South America or come from Mexico, you may not understand that difference. And the thing that I have a question about, you have areas such as Oaxaca, Tulum, underserved in Mexico, where these physicians that are coming to the US could be better served. So finally, look, I understand that the philanthropic efforts means that with this program, we're up against money that bought influence to create this program, but we're
Please
hoping
conclude.
that we're hoping that some of you board members can put yourself in our shoes and turn this into a case-by-case program. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up, we have Kristen Ogden. Kristen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Kristen Ogden. Good afternoon to all. I'm sure that members of the board are well aware of the FDA meeting next Monday and Tuesday on morphine milligram equivalents, applications, research, and future directions, as already mentioned by my fellow advocate, Ms. Anne Fuqua. I will certainly be attending that myself, and I hope that the board really will follow it closely. FDA has, in many instances, shown a tendency to follow the science and not the politics, as I'm afraid I cannot always say for the CDC, and I hope very much that that will be the case this time. They are assembling numerous experts, have allowed a 2-hour comment period for public members, public individuals, and we are pleased to have a number of advocates who will be represented among those public commenters. We support in our group, Families for Intractable Pain Relief, the appropriate prescribing of opioids at any dose by well-qualified physicians as last resort to treat those suffering from intractable pain when the dose is necessary to bring about physiologic and biologic stability, and that will improve functionality and quality of life. As we have said before in correspondence and our comments to you, intractable pain syndrome may lead to death from stroke, cardiac arrest, or adrenal failure if untreated or undertreated. We find that the MME policies don't work. There are many, many variables, flawed concept to start with, and patient responses vary greatly. Beyond that, though, it's a poor metric because it fails to measure what matters. It's an attractive metric because it's easy to set reduction targets and measure progress toward those targets. It's easy to measure, but really irrelevant to intractable pain patients and their families. What you're really measuring by focus on MME is increase in patient harm, not improvement in patient care. As you know, the policies have caused, that started with the 2016 CDC guidelines and were followed by many others, have caused unnecessary suffering, death from complications of undertreated pain, and suicides among patients. Also, there have been many negative, harmful impacts on families who have to suffer by seeing their loved ones having to endure unnecessary pain, as well as suffering financial loss, social loss, and family relationship impacts. Physicians, of course, have experienced extreme impacts, extreme stress, loss of license, livelihood, loss of assets, personal freedom, loss of community respect, and sometimes loss of self-esteem in no longer being able to do what they're trained to do. Overall, MME-based policies are losers, and we really hope that the board will attend to the goings-on, the proceedings, and the outcomes generated next week by the meeting, and plan to follow in a similar path. MME is not the way to go. Thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your public comment. We had a couple individuals join during this public comment section, so we're on agenda item 2, public comments not on the agenda. If anyone who recently joined would like to make a public comment on that agenda or on that item, please go ahead and indicate by typing something into the Q&A box or raising your hand. Give you just a couple more minutes to see if anyone else was interested before we move back on. Okay, at this time, Ms. Lawson, I don't see any other requests.
All right, thank you, Sean. And we will now move, and thank you, by the way, to all of the public commenters who joined us for the Application Review and Special Programs Committee meeting. We will now move to agenda item 3, which is approval of the minutes from the January 20th, 2021 Application Review and Special Programs Committee meeting. Are there any edits from the members? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve, Dr. Hawkins.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Yip. Are there any
Second.
public comments?
Sorry about that. I've gone ahead and reactivated the Q&A and the raise your hand feature. Anyone would like to make a public comment on agenda item 3, the minutes from the prior meeting, please raise your hand or type anything in the Q&A box and we can call on you. A few more seconds here. This time I'm not seeing any requests.
Great. We'll return it to the committee, and we've got a motion from Dr. Hawkins, a second from Dr. Yip. Ms. Demian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Dr. Yip,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson.
Yes. Thank you. The motion carries, and the minutes are approved. All right, we are now going to move on to agenda item 4, application review. This item will be taken in closed session. So the members will be leaving this meeting, going into closed session, and then we will return to open session to adjourn the meeting. Sean, do you have any, or does anyone have any more details beyond that, or are we free to move to our next WebEx?
Yeah, if I could ask all the panel members to go ahead and exit this meeting, join up into the closed session meeting invite that you got there. I'll meet you over there and help you get started. To all the public attendees, this meeting will remain open. It'll just be silent basically until we return from the closed session and the panelists adjourn the meeting. So you're free to stay. It will remain open, but we will be exiting here and coming back to adjourn later.
Okay, are we all back? Hopefully. All right, Sean, I'm assuming we're all back, although I don't see Dr. Hawkins.
I'm still looking for Dr. Hawkins as well. Here you go.
Okay, I'll give him a second.
Dr. Yip, sorry, I had muted your microphone there, so if you were trying to say something, you can unmute again now.
We'll just give him another minute. All right, well, I don't know if he'll be rejoining us, but we are back in open session, and seeing that there's no further business, this will conclude the meeting of the Applications Review and Special Programs Committee. Thank you for your time, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.